This podcast is intended for a mature audience. Listener discretion is advised. Welcome back to Legend of the Bones. Following in the footsteps of giants, Legend of the Bones is a chimera. A mix of old-school tabletop RPG and dark fantasy storytelling. As its name might suggest, in Legend of the Bones the dice rule. There'll be no rerolls, no fudging the dice, no metacurrency. The roll of the bones will determine the character's destiny, and no one will be spared their fate. None shall escape the destiny of bone. Last time on Legend of the Bones. Following their reunion at the Scarnet enclave of Abamora on the northeast coast of Llanrhys, Canute and Einar rode out at dawn to a high craggy bluff to survey Einar's new lands, but the fertile vale held more than the prospect of good harvest. Medrawt, the warlord dispossessed by Einar's pact with the King of Reged, had learnt of the Jarl's movements from one of his spies, and laid in wait, intent on murder. Launching the ambush, Einar was struck in the shoulder by an arrow, nearly pitching the Jarl 60 feet into the rock-strewn pools below. Though unarmoured and outnumbered, the Northmen's blood burned hot, and what followed was a brutal struggle of endurance and slaughter. Canute claimed the first kill, but the battle drove him to the very brink of death. Beaten bloody and collapsing under the toil of his wounds, he found the strength to deliver a final lethal thrust to his enemy. Beside him, Einar wielded his rune blade, Helverk, exchanging blow after blow with Medrawt and two others, until the stones beneath their feet were slick with blood. But Einar's prowess could not be matched. Having killed one enemy, the Northmen silenced Medrawt with a subduing blow to the skull, before turning Helverk upon the final warrior to take his head. The battle was won, but the price of victory was paid in blood. But now we leave Canute and Einar, bloodied, broken yet alive atop the bluff, and return to the present. As the companions journey to Inismaitan, they pause to rest and forage in the depths of Cwsgwrth. But the forest is not unguarded. For there, among the ancient trees, they have encountered Dyn Corniog, the Horned Man, the guardian of the Greenwood. Chapter 77, Part 1, Day 71, Afternoon. Party status: Beric, 61 out of 61 hit points. Lena, 39 out of 39 hit points. Valen, 22 out of 22 hit points. Talion, 33 out of 33 hit points. Edith, 16 out of 16 hit points. Spells available: Valen has memorized Charm Animal, Push, Shield, Soothe, Entangle, Revive, Clairvoyance, Ignite, Unseal, and Dragon's Breath. Talion has memorized Resolve, Poetic Prose, Pitch, Imbue, and Lullaby. Edith has memorized Flame, Sleep, Camouflage, Knock, and Frostbite. Lena can pray for 3 first-level miracles, 3 second-level miracles, 2 third-level miracles, 2 fourth-level miracles, and 1 fifth-level miracle. Shafts of brilliant sunlight spilled through the vast verdant canopy overhead, their golden beams breaking upon the forest floor in trembling patterns of light and shadow, illuminating the strange figure who stood before the startled companions, like some ancient spirit made flesh. The chorus of songbirds which only moments before had filled the woodland with lively melody had fallen utterly silent, as though the feathered heralds of the wild had bowed their heads in reverence before the coming of their king. And a king he was, the lord of briar and beast, the ancient guardian of the green domain. Tall and regal beneath the sprawling boughs of trees older than kingdoms, he stood with the quiet majesty of something timeless. His reign was as ancient as the roots that burrowed deep beneath the earth itself, threading through stone and soil alike. He was the forest given form, and the forest in turn seemed to breathe through him. A mantle of living leaves draped across his broad shoulders, rustling softly with every wandering breath of wind, while his body beneath was lean, powerful, and otherwise bare, save for the thick fur which covered his lower parts. Every movement carried the restrained grace of a swift stag, and the latent strength of an untamed beast. His head was neither wholly man nor wholly animal, but something older and stranger than either. Strong human features blended seamlessly with the noble visage of the heart, crowned by vast branching antlers like the limbs of winter trees. His deep deer-like eyes regarded them with a calm, ancient authority, as though he looked not merely upon mortal travellers, but upon fleeting creatures whose lives passed in the blink of his endless seasons. At last his voice came, slow and resonant, carrying with it the whisper of rustling leaves and the creaking of timber, as though the forest itself had found speech through him.
The greenwood belongs to all living things, but my wives may not be hunted.
Forgive me. Talian's voice trembled with awe, scarcely louder than a whisper beneath the towering trees. The creature calmly raised one long-fingered hand, and at once the bard fell silent. Mesmerized and unmoving, the companions could do nothing but listen as the mysterious being continued, his words echoing through the stillness.
Trespassers you may be, yet your coming may be like a stone cast into still water. The ripples reach farther than anyone might know.
Valen stepped cautiously forward, lowering his head in solemn deference before the ancient lord of the wilds. Green King, he began carefully. We meant no offense, and sought only to stave our hunger. We are friends of the forest. The horned lord regarded the mage in silence, his ancient eyes deep and inscrutable as the roots beneath the world.
Then you must prove it.
Before the start of this episode, I made a reaction roll to determine how this encounter might begin. In this particular case, while several of the characters have charisma bonuses, I felt those advantages were offset by Talian attempting to shoot one of Dyn Corniog's wives. At the same time, Valen is a follower of the old ways, and as a high-level hedge mage, Dyn Corniog would naturally be predisposed to view him favourably. Valen, however, does not have a charisma bonus, so I decided the roll would remain unmodified. Fortunately for the companions, the first roll was a 10, which indicated a possibly friendly reaction. A second roll of 7, using the Beckme chart I rely on, confirmed the encounter would indeed be friendly. That said, I have not yet established the exact nature of this meeting, so I am going to consult the Mythic Event Meaning chart for a prompt. I recently upgraded to the 2nd edition of Mythic, so now I have a new set of tables to work with. Rolling a percentile dice twice. Action first. 35. Disrupt. And now the object. 57. Nature. Disrupt nature. Well, that is remarkably fitting, and I already have an idea forming about what this could mean. More excitingly though, this is a level up episode for Beric, Lena and Valen, as all three of my original characters reach level 9. I still don't know exactly how long Season 1 will run, but there is a real possibility that this could be their final level up. Let's hope they're good ones. First up, Beric. Rolling a d8 for the warrior's new hit points. A 5. With his constitution bonus, Beric's hit points rise to 68. Now let's see whether he gains any ability score increases. Strength 4. Intelligence 1. Wisdom 3. Dexterity. A 6! Beric's dexterity increases to 13, granting him an important armor class bonus. Very nice. Moving on to Constitution. 5. And finally, Charisma. A 6! Beric's Charisma rises to 13, granting him a +1 bonus to reaction rolls. Beric's confidence in command has clearly grown, and he is finally beginning to feel comfortable leading the party. That is already extremely satisfying, but at level 9, my homebrew fighter class also grants a to-hit bonus of 6 and an armor class bonus of 3. Beric has become an absolute tank and a truly formidable warrior, but he'll be tested soon enough. With such a strong start to these level ups, I wonder whether Lena can do equally well. Let's find out. Rolling a d6 for new hit points. A 2. Not ideal, but with a half min out and her constitution bonus, Lena's hit points rise to 43. Very respectable. Now let's see how she fares with ability score increases. Strength 1. Intelligence. A 6! Lena's intelligence increases to 12. Valen's influence has clearly made a difference, and their long hours of conversation have strengthened her powers of reasoning. Wisdom? Another 6! And exactly where it's needed. Lena's wisdom rises back to 17. If she does manage to heal her mind from the terrors of Penmelkine, she may eventually max out this ability score entirely. Regardless, I think this increase reflects Lena beginning to understand that coming to terms with trauma is a journey as much as a destination. Now on to dexterity. A 5. Constitution. Another 6! Incredible! What on earth is happening with this humble green d6? Lena's constitution increases to 16. Wait, that improves her constitution bonus, taking her hit points up to 44. And finally, charisma. You are not going to believe this. I've just rolled another 6. This is completely unprecedented. Lena's charisma increases to 15. No additional bonus, but I feel that since being marked as one of the blessed, Lena has become more magnetic, and dare I say, beautiful. Honestly, I'm almost speechless. That was an extraordinary level up for Lena. But it doesn't end there, because at level 9, clerics receive a massive increase to their to-hit bonus, jumping from +2 all the way to +5. Not only that, but her saving throws improve significantly, and she also gains the ability to pray for an additional 3rd and 5th level miracle each day. Well, after all that luck, I hardly dare hope for the same for Valen. Rolling a d4 for new hit points. A 3, bringing Valen's total up to 25. Now for ability score increases. Strength 1. Intelligence. A 6! Exactly where it matters most. Valen's intelligence rises to an incredible 18. I am definitely keeping this dice close from now on. Wisdom? Oh my goodness, another 6! Valen's wisdom increases to 12. Considering the mage began this campaign with an 8 in this stat, it really highlights how much he has grown, and I feel that growth is due in no small part to his relationship with Lena. Surely that must be the end of it now. Dexterity? A 1. Constitution. Unbelievable! Another 6! What is happening with this dice today? Valen's constitution rises to 10. And finally, charisma. A 3. Well, I have genuinely never seen so many 6s rolled in a single session. And if that wasn't exciting enough, at level 9, Valen gets access to an additional 3rd level spell, along with his very first 5th level spell. Let's roll a d12 for the 3rd level spell. A 9. Let's see. Okay, that will be protection from normal missiles. Very nice indeed. Now for the 5th level spell, and I'm extremely excited about this one. Here comes the roll. A 1. Oh, this could not be more appropriate. Valen has learnt my homebrew spell, Animal Form. By invoking this spell, the caster, along with any non-magical equipment they carry, assumes the form of any normal animal known to them, ranging from something small, such as a mouse, to something large, like a bear. Whilst transformed, the caster gains access to the creature's natural abilities and senses, while still retaining their human consciousness. The transformation has the following effects. The caster uses the animal's armor class, movement rate, and number of attacks. However, they may use either the animal's to hit bonus or their own, whichever is higher. In addition, upon transforming, the caster gains 2 temporary hit points per level. Any damage sustained is deducted from these points first. If those temporary hit points are exhausted, the spell does not end, but all further damage is deducted from the caster's normal hit points. If the caster's animal form is killed, the spell ends immediately, and the caster returns to their true form. At that point, they must make a save versus death. Success leaves them alive, but unconscious of 1 hit point, while failure results in death. While in animal form, the caster may not cast spells or use magic items, and any spells previously cast upon themselves are immediately negated. Finally, the caster may end a spell voluntarily at any time, by focusing completely and taking no movement or actions for 1 round. I genuinely could not have hoped for better level ups. They were absolutely incredible. But now back to the matter at hand, because it's time to discover what Dyn Corniog wants the companions to do. Chapter 77, Part 2, Day 71, Afternoon. Party status. The party status is unchanged, except with the following update. Beric, 67 out of 67 hit points. Lena, 44 out of 44 hit points. Valen, 25 out of 25 hit points. Spells available. Lena can pray for an additional 3rd and 5th level miracle. The horned man turned his gaze from Valen, his ancient eyes drifting slowly over the rest of the companions, until they locked upon Lena. A passing cloud momentarily blocked the sun, softening both light and shadow, as a gust of summer breeze blew through the glade, accompanied by a warmth that smelled of damp earth after rain. The creature stepped closer, his feet making no sound upon the carpet of leaf and moss.
You speak of friendship, mage. Yet you travel with a priestess of the Nine.
He stopped, merely paces from the couple. He tilted his antlered head, looking between Valen and Lena.
Their priests raid cages of stone, and name the wild a thing to be tamed.
His nostrils flared as he sniffed the air, and the bitterness in his voice softened into something touched with curiosity.
Yet here you stand, a favoured daughter, wrapped in the scent of a pagan, one who communes with the dragon.
Lena felt her holy symbol grow hot against her chest. Her aura flared, radiating a brilliant, pure golden light that illuminated the Forest Lord's face. My faith is not your enemy. Fallible men may be, but to walk the path of the divine is to hold all that is good in your heart. She glanced at Valen. As for our love, there is no conflict with our beliefs. They strengthen each other. The antlered figure nodded slowly.
You speak wisdom.
He reached for the couple's hands. Neither resisted as he took them and placed them together.
But the Church calls this heresy. They call themselves shepherds of truth. Yet many would slaughter the flock before surrendering the crook.
He cast his eyes down, and from the ground near their feet, a seedling sprouted. It grew quickly into a sweet-smelling honeysuckle, reaching upwards until the tendrils wrapped around the couple's hands, binding them together.
Your love is not a sin. It is a salve to heal a wounded world.
Silence fell between them, the sweet scent of the honeysuckle lingering in the air. Suddenly, the vine twitched. Its leaves curled, losing their vibrant colour, and the sweet perfume was replaced by the cold, stagnant reek of decay. Oh! Dyn Corniog groaned, clutching his side, as if stabbed by some unseen blade. His deer-like eyes filled first with pain, which subsided into a deep, ancient sorrow. He looked towards the east, a heavy, mournful sigh escaping his lips, like a dying wind through winter branches. Valen stepped forward, though he knew not how to help. What ails you, Lord? Dyn Corniog turned his gaze back to the mage.
Even as we speak of healing, the forest has suffered a grave wound.
His gaze hardened, shifting between the companions.
There is an ancient barrow upon a ridge overlooking the lake. For centuries, a sacred elder Rowan has stood sentinel over the mound, its deep roots holding a restless, hateful spirit, keeping it trapped in the dark earth.
The horned man extended a hand towards the east.
Woodcutters from the lake village have felled the tree for its timber. The seal is broken. If the spirit is not stopped, it shall bring an endless winter that will consume all it touches.
Can you not vanquish this evil? Beric asked, finally finding his voice in the presence of this extraordinary creature before them. Dyn Corniog locked gaze with the warrior.
Once I did. But the forest is far smaller now, and with each tree that is felled, my power weakens.
He opened his arms in appeal.
Please, will you not help?
We shall, Lena said simply, speaking for the companions. The horned lord bowed graciously, then leaned towards Valen, exhaling a pale mist from his nostrils that swirled around the mage's face.
Take my breath, child of the hedge. You will need it.
Valen breathed in. The taste of birch sap and wild herbs flooded his mouth, and a sharp, tingling sensation coursed through his body as new knowledge imprinted itself upon his mind. With that, the Forest Lord raised his hand and let out a soft, melodic whistle that sounded like wind through a hollow reed. From the thick canopy above, a flash of russet feathers darted down, landing gracefully upon his antlers. It was a plump robin, its bright red breast stark against the greens of the wood. The bird tilted its head. Its black, bead-like eyes looked at the companions with an unnatural intelligence.
Follow the red breast. Its wings know the hidden paths where shadows cannot snare your steps. Go first to the forest road. The paths from there will take your horses safely to the foot of the ridge. But you must climb the final crags on foot. It will lead you straight to the barrow's mouth.
The horned man stepped backward into the shifting patterns of sunlight, his form beginning to blur with the briars and boughs.
Silence the barrow before the sun dips below the canopy. Do this, and the greenwood will count you as kin. Fail, and the winter of the dead will swallow the ridge and creep down to freeze the very lake itself.
With a final rustle of leaves, a Dyn Corniog faded into the deep green shadows, until the companions could no longer tell where the forest ended and the horned lord began. Back in 1984, here in the UK, a television show debuted called Robin of Sherwood. It was a fresh take on the Robin Hood myth, combining gritty historical and dark fantasy elements to create something truly unique. If you've never come across it, I highly recommend checking it out. As a 9-year-old at the time, Robin of Sherwood was hugely influential in my burgeoning love of the fantasy genre, and remains my all-time favourite show. One of its supporting characters was Herne the Hunter, a creature from British mythology, which may have links to the earlier Celtic deity of Cernunnos, the horned god. I have always been fascinated with this mythological creature, and I have often incorporated it into my visual art. So when I rolled a special NPC encounter in a forest whose name means Greenwood, it seemed the perfect opportunity to include a being adjacent to it. Given this was a special encounter with a positive reaction, I decided that not only would this be the narrative mechanism by which Valen learned his 2 new spells, but that I would give him access to them immediately. So, it would seem that before the companions can arrive at Innis Myton, they have another threat to face. Chapter 77, Part 3, Day 71, Afternoon. Party status. The party status is unchanged, except that Valen has memorized protection from normal missiles and animal form. The little robin let out a sharp, piping chirp, fluttered its wings, and took flight, hovering just long enough at the edge of the glade for their companions to gather their things and follow. Breaking into a brisk pace through the dense undergrowth, the companions retraced their steps, picking up the small winding river until the trees thinned out, revealing the ford and the old dirt road running between the forest and the towering peaks of the Dragonspine to the north. There, in the quiet clearing where they had left them to forage, their horses were still peacefully grazing on the lush forest grass. The robin hopped impatiently along the low branch of an oak at the clearing's edge, as if mocking the cumbersome pace of human hands. As the companions swung into their saddles, the little guide took flight once more, darting from branch to branch, just ahead of the horses' steady hoofbeats along the winding road. After several miles, the road turned north along the shores of a vast lake, its waters lapping gently against the shingle shore. It stretched so far into the haze that the opposite shore seemed swallowed by the sky itself. Yet far out, upon the water, the unmistakable shape of an island could just be seen. "That is Innis Maiton," Talion declared, inclining his head. "Then we had better hope to find a fisherman in the village who'll be willing to take us," Beric observed, squinting into the distance. The robin abruptly let out a warbling whistle from a nearby tree, as if reminding them of their immediate task. "Very well," the warrior answered with a wry smile. "Lead on." They continued, following the forest road for a few more miles along the shoreline. Rounding a point, the low roofs of the village could be seen ahead, and the forest rose up to a high ridge. Here, the redbreast piped excitedly, disappearing into the trees, and their companions took this as a cue to follow. Steering their mounts off the road, they found themselves on a path leading deeper into the woodland. The trail narrowed sharply, forcing the riders into single file, as the gentle slopes of the lakeside forest gave way to a grueling incline. The robin darted ahead, its urgent chirping the only sound breaking the heavy, suffocating silence that had begun to settle over the trees. With every 50 paces, the air grew noticeably cooler. The vibrant summer greens of the lower woods began to pale. Leaves hung limp on their stems, and the damp, rich smell of the earth shifted into the brittle scent of hard frost. "The spirit's breath," Valen murmured, pulling his cloak tighter to keep the encroaching numbness at bay. The horses grew skittish, their hooves slipping on loose shale and exposed roots. They snorted, their breath blooming into sudden, thick plumes of white vapour. Finally, the path dissolved entirely into a wall of jagged, grey crags that punched through the tree line like broken teeth. Life had fled. No bird sang. No insect crawled in the litter. Here, winter's death had gripped the forest. The robin landed on a low, frost-rimmed boulder, fluttering its wings frantically before looking back at them. "This is as far as the horses can go," Beric said, dismounting and catching his mount as it shied away. He quickly tied the reins to a sturdy, deep-rooted oak that had not yet succumbed to the chill. "We climb from here." Lena stepped out of her stirrups, her boots crunching onto the grass, freshly silvered by frost. Her aura shone brightly in contrast to the false winter, and as she stepped forward, the ice melted in her wake. She looked up at the towering ridge. The sky above it was no longer blue. A bruised, swirling canopy of grey clouds was rapidly choking out the afternoon sun. "We must hurry," she urged, her fingers instinctively reaching for her holy symbol. "The sun is sinking fast." Leaving the horses behind, the companions scrambled up the steep rock face. The robin fluttered from stone to stone, guiding their way, yet still the climb was treacherous. Ice filmed the handholds. A biting, unnatural wind howled down from the summit, clawing at their cloaks and threatening to tear them from the ridge. As they hauled themselves over the final crest, the wind abruptly died down, replaced by a dead, unnatural silence. Before them lay the ancient barrow. It was a massive, rounded mound of earth and heavy grey stones, half buried into the ridgeline. But the sight that drew their breath away was the desecration at its crown. A colossal stump, easily 5 paces wide, sat like a severed neck atop the mound. Fresh, pale wood chips lay scattered across the frozen earth, stark against the dark dirt. The elder rowan had been hacked down. its massive boughs lay tossed aside in the ravine below like discarded bones. Where the deep roots had once woven a tight, living cage over the barrow's stone entrance, there was now only a jagged, gaping tear in the earth. A dense, freezing mist, shadowed at its edges, poured lazily out of the open doorway, pooling around the companion's boots. The little robin let out one last, mournful cry, circled the ruined stump 3 times, and vanished back down into the safer canopy below. They were entirely on their own. With a grunt, Beric unslung his shield and drew Callous Cledder from its sheath. For a moment, he hesitated, staring into the black void of the barrow mouth. Then, without looking back, he stepped forward. "Come on." Thank you for listening to Legend of the Bones. I hope you've enjoyed the show. If you like what you've heard, then please consider rating and reviewing the show in your podcatcher of choice. Not only do I love seeing the feedback, but it really does help the show to reach new listeners. As always, where would I be without my amazing cast of voice talent? A newcomer to the show, playing a Dyn Corniog, is ReprobateGamer. Rep is a member of the Emerald Collective, a TTRPG Twitch stream that runs 4 nights per week with a variety of games. My sincere thanks to Rep. Your contribution has really elevated this episode. I'll put his links in the show notes. You could also help by liking or reposting new episode announcements, or by recommending the show online or to a friend. You really can't beat the power of word of mouth. Alternatively, if you would like to show your appreciation by buying me a metaphorical cup of tea, then I have a Ko-fi page at ko-fi.com/Legend of the Bones. Any donations will go towards the show's running costs. While I'm here, if you like what I do, then be sure to check out soloroleplayersnetwork.com, where you can find a curated list of the very best hybrid solo RPG audio dramas out there. Finally, I would love to know what you think of the show, and I do respond to every message I receive. So with that in mind, you can contact me on X at LegendBones, Blue Sky at LegendBones, Mastodon at LegendBones, at TTRPG-hangout.social, Instagram at LegendOfTheBones, email at legendofthebones@gmail.com, or go to legendofthebones.blogspot.com for show notes, house rules, character profiles, art, maps and more. Join me next time to find out what awaits our adventurers as the bones decide their fate. None shall escape the destiny of bone.
Welcome to the Emerald Collective. We're a band of storytellers hailing from Ireland and scattered across the globe, united by our love for rolling dice and weaving tales of adventure. Join us several nights a week on Twitch, where we dive into a variety of tabletop role-playing games. Whether it's our own homebrew worlds or the depths of officially published modules, countless adventures await you, right here with the Emerald Collective. But the journey doesn't end there. We also create entirely separate podcast series, available first on our Patreon and later on all major platforms. From Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition to Call of Cthulhu and beyond, you'll discover immersive, thrilling narratives in every episode, crafted just for your ears. Welcome to the story. Welcome to the Emerald Collective.